Welcome to the Explainer. So, you did it. You bought a piece of raw land. That's amazing. But after the ink is dry and the excitement settles, there's usually this one huge question that pops up. Okay, now what? Today, we're going to map out the answer.
Let's just start right there, at that moment. The papers are all signed, the deed is in your hand, and that piece of raw, undeveloped land, it's officially yours. What an incredible feeling.
But yeah, right after that feeling of victory, this big question starts to creep in. You might be standing there looking out over your property and just thinking, so what's next?
And that is the exact moment where the dream meets reality. This whole explainer is designed to take that big question mark and turn it into a clear, confident roadmap, turning the what if into here's what's next. And it's all based on decades of real-world expert experience.
So, where do we even begin? Well, the very first responsibility for any new landowner is pretty simple, actually. It's just caring for the land itself.
The first steps aren't always glamorous, but they are so important. We're talking about the basics, clearing out invasive weeds, making sure your boundaries are clearly marked, keeping an eye out for erosion, and just general cleanup. Now, these might feel like chores, but trust me, they are absolutely crucial. They stop things from getting overgrown, and they protect the value of your investment.
Of course, land care is not a one-size-fits-all deal. Your location changes everything. If you're somewhere prone to wildfires, creating what's called defensible space isn't just a good idea, it's essential. On the other hand, if your property is buried in snow for half the year, your number one job is going to be making sure you can actually get in and out by keeping those access roads clear.
So here's a really crucial point. Maintenance isn't free. You gotta budget for it. Whether it's for buying a good weed whacker or maybe hiring some local help once in a while, setting aside up to about $1,000 a year is just a smart move. It'll help you keep your property in great shape without any financial surprises.
Okay, now for the part everyone gets really excited about, actually building your vision. This is how you start turning that raw piece of earth into a cabin, a homestead, or maybe just your own private weekend getaway.
Listen, the key here is to break the whole process down into manageable chunks. The first year, think of that as all your prep work. It's the less exciting but totally essential stuff like getting surveys and permits. It's only after that foundation is laid that you move on to your first big structures. The full dream, with gardens and outbuildings, that can come later. This phased approach keeps you from getting overwhelmed and helps keep your budget from spiraling.
But, and this is a big but, it's so important to remember that any timeline is just a guide. It's not a guarantee. The real world has a way of showing up. Permits can get delayed, the weather might have other plans, and just finding a good contractor in a rural area could take time. You have to be flexible and plan for these kinds of things.
And speaking of the real world, even with the absolute best plans, you're almost guaranteed to run into a few common hurdles. It happens to everyone. But knowing what they are ahead of time, that's half the battle right there.
Let's look at the top 3 issues and the best first move for each. You'll probably notice a theme here. The first step is almost always about proactive communication. A friendly chat with your neighbor, carefully double-checking your paperwork, or making a call to the utility company way earlier than you think you need to, these simple things can save you a world of headaches later on.
Here's a term you're going to hear, and it's incredibly important: deeded easement. This is not some handshake deal. It's a formal, legal right that is literally attached to your property deed. It guarantees you can get to your land, even if you have to cross someone else's property to do it. You have to make sure this is crystal clear in all your paperwork.
Now, when we talk about utilities, the costs can be one of the biggest shocks for new landowners. I mean, look at this. Going completely off-grid with solar, a well, and a septic system can have a massive price range. But trying to get the power company to extend the grid out to your property, that can be even more expensive, sometimes costing over $20,000 per mile. You really need to understand these numbers up front. It's critical for your budget.
So we've got maintenance, development plans, and potential problems on the table. How do you pull all of that together to make sure your land ownership journey is actually a great experience?
The number one factor for success, according to the experts, is having access to experienced support. It's that simple. Whether you need help understanding a survey map or you're trying to find a good local contractor, just having a knowledgeable partner you can call for guidance can make all the difference in the world. It really all comes down to this one key idea. Post-purchase success starts with proactive planning and reliable support. It's about thinking ahead, knowing you don't have to figure it all out by yourself, and not being afraid to ask for help when you need it.
Ultimately, owning a piece of land is more than just a purchase. It's a creative journey. You're starting with an empty lot that can become a personal legacy. We've laid out the map and pointed out the potential roadblocks. Your land is now a blank canvas. So the only question left is, what will you create?